How is it going? It is September 3rd of 2021, and today I wanted to talk to everybody about beans. I want to reiterate, none of these grows in our yard, whether it's tomatoes, peppers, or anything, is indicative of a professional or a good grow. Our opinion may be vastly different, our experience anyways may be vastly different than your experiences on all of these plants, and almost surely is, and it may be vastly different than other places you could go to see these different varieties of plants that we show. We just like to sit down and do videos. A lot of times what we do is one take. Sometimes we don't even research or really look into anything. If we just grow it, and then when it shows up we try to do what information we have on our heads on it. Maybe we'll brush up a little bit on what we know about it, but not much. We're just sharing our personal experience and stuff. So a few years ago, in a video that we had done, Angel had mentioned that her favorite thing to snack on from the yard wasn't a pepper, wasn't a tomato, it was actually beans. She likes snacking on beans out of the yard. I really like peas as well, but anyways, we've been growing beans in the yard ever since. One bean type that we were growing was called the Cherokee Wax Bean. We had gotten the seeds from a dollar store pack and grew those. They're a really sweet type. They're an excellent type, and this year we grew 3 different types. A lot of them were for seeds that with friends that we got, and seeds that we were ordering kind of to try. So let me tell you about the 3 types of beans that we grew. The first one I'll talk about here is the yellow wax bean. When we ordered these seeds, we thought it was the same thing as the Cherokee wax bean. So if you're trying to know if there's a difference between the yellow wax bean and the Cherokee wax bean, there is definitely a difference. The Cherokee wax bean and the yellow wax bean both look very similar. We won't be saving any seeds on these, but you'll notice the difference. The yellow wax has a white seed on the inside with a little bit of gray or brown coloration in the center part there. Whereas in the Cherokee wax... Alright, I am back. This is obviously sloppy growing right here, this plant. They were originally climbing on corn. We had to remove the corn because we got a weird aphid infestation and stuff. There's been lots of construction stuff going on in our neighborhood, and so the pests have kind of gotten to the back fence a little bit, but it was only the corn. So as soon as we removed the corn, the infestation was gone, and the beans are just kind of living out the last of their cycle here in September down here. Anyways, as I was stating, the yellow wax has a different kind of coloration there to it. The Cherokee wax will have a black bean, and when it starts out it's white like this bean is, but it gets this really really deep, like almost like chrome illusion coloration of blue. Like this blue metallic color will almost start coming out of it as it turns black. In comparison, this is a really good bean. The yellow wax bean is an excellent bean to snack out of the yard, but the Cherokee wax bean's better. So we won't be saving any seeds from this. We have had dozens and dozens of beans off of this year, but the Cherokee wax bean was the one we were looking for, and our dollar store didn't have seeds this year, so we went with this one and realized it wasn't the same. And an excellent grow though. So yellow wax beans, Cherokee wax beans, whatever they are, really sweet, excellent flavor. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is we had gotten some seeds from lots of different YouTube content creators over the past couple of years. We had tried to put some Calypso beans in the ground from My Permaculture Garden, but when those ones didn't take, we put these ones in the ground from Patricia's Projects, and another gardener or YouTube channel content creator. But when we put those ones in the ground, they were just labeled red beans. I lost the little note that came with them, so I didn't know what kind of red beans they were. And we just kind of put them in the ground just to give them a try and see what would happen. And it turned out these are red Chinese noodle beans. I know these ain't nearly as big as these can grow. I was super excited about that. This kiddo on his back gate here really likes to grow giant plants, and this is a bean that when I've seen other gardeners growing it, it looks like a baby hand holding a giant bean still. So it was just a really cool bean. We have had some of these. You want to get them before they start to get the lumps where the seeds are forming. We're saving a lot of these for seed saving though. It's got a little bit of a bitter flavor. They're definitely a lot better when you get them in this stage. I wouldn't necessarily call the flavor sweet though.
So more of a cooking bean.
Yeah, almost like, it's almost got maybe a Brussels sprout flavor when a Brussels sprout flavor is uncooked or green still. It's got a really green, it's a likable flavor. But as far as the yard snack, this wouldn't be the yard snack that we would have in the yard. We were really excited because I wanted to try these. I was actually planning on trying these next year and had no idea that they were going to show up in our yard this year. So we will be growing these wimpy looking versions out. This is a perfect example of how bad our grows can look. So we definitely don't want anybody to think that we're professionals. But this is the Red Noodle Bean, or the Chinese Red Noodle Bean. These can get a few feet long when they're overdone. We're going to go ahead and save the seeds on these. I'm not sure if they're smaller varieties or if this one just really fell apart. It turns out that the Red Noodle Beans though, they're pole beans. So when we took the corn stalks out of here, they really kind of struggled. So what we did is we stacked them like pickup sticks here, and they're getting bigger. We'll save the seeds on these ones and either give a try from our own seeds next year or get some new seeds and see what happens with those. But that's the Chinese Red Noodle Bean, the second bean we grew in our yard this year. That's pretty good, huh? It's got like a likable flavor.
Yeah, it's good actually.
All right, and this third one here is the Dragon Tongue bean, and this is a definite standout in our yard this year. I can't remember where we got the seeds from. Right off the bat, we like to grow unique things and cool things that sound and look cool and taste cool and have lots of various uses and stuff like that. And just right off the bat, Dragon Tongue is a really cool name for a bean. Back here on the gates where we decided to, or on the back fence is where we decided to grow beans, and this is Kiddo's back fence. So Dragon Tongue is a instant seller for him to give a try. Grab a couple of these off here real quick. So far they start out really pale, almost no coloration on them. And then they start to get a light pink like this, and that's when they're best to eat. And then they kind of get darker like this. They can get a little bit tougher like this, but they're still really good like this. This tastes really sweet. Probably not as sweet as the Cherokee Wax, but the unique sweetness of it and the flavor, the texture, and everything else like this is a 100% standout. As you guys can see,
also.
Yeah, it's a very juicy pepper. This one right here is a little bit soft.
Bean, not pepper.
Or bean, that's right. I got peppers on my brain all the time. This one's a little bit better. I'll open the seeds, or open it up here real quick. Yeah, so far they're just turning out green. I'm not sure if they mature more that they'll turn out any different.
They do have some like purple stripes on them, the bigger they are. And then at that point they're to the point where you need to cook them before you eat them.
That tasted really nutty.
But with these ones you can eat the skin and all when they're young. I like them when they're young. You can eat the whole thing, and it's super juicy and very sweet, and it's just a really good bean. And I was surprised, you know.
So one might think that the Cherokee Wax not making it into the yard and kind of having a little bit of a less of a good show with the Yellow Wax. The Yellow Wax was really good. So it might be not having that favorite here in comparison to the dragon tongue would normally make it an unfair advantage. But this dragon tongue bean, if anybody's trying to grow beans, I would definitely recommend it. We weren't quite sure about this one because for the longest time it's a bush bean.
And it's very productive.
We weren't sure about it. It wasn't producing anything for the longest time. And then as soon as it started going just a little bit, it absolutely took off. It's really hard to see because I need to trim this mat back. I bet you that we're probably looking at 50 beans here.
Yeah, it's very productive. I've already had a good couple handfuls.
So it's considered a wax bean though. Looking it up online, it's considered a wax bean. It comes from
The Netherlands.
the Netherlands, yeah. So it comes from the Netherlands. It's an heirloom that's been around for a really long time. So it's a heirloom. It's super productive. It's super sweet, really excellent flavor. I can't say enough about this. This is our new yard favorite bean. We might not even try the Cherokee Wax. We might just fill our yard in all the spots with this and maybe one spot for the Red Noodle bean just because it's so cool. So I just kind of wanted to tell everybody our bean stories this year. We grew the yellow wax, the red noodle bean, and the dragon tongue bean. And out of the three beans, as far as Angel's concerned, how would you rate them?
I would say the dragon tongue is my favorite.
On a 1 to 10.
I would say, it's 9, 10. I mean, it's really good, and I liked it a lot. So
The yellow wax.
the yellow wax, I would say it's still good when it's young, so I would say maybe a 7.
A 7?
Yeah, and the red noodle bean, I would probably say about the same. It's just different.
Yeah, it has a completely different flavor, and I really like the texture of beans when they snap or have a crispness to them, and it's really kind of weird eating the red noodle bean because it doesn't have that crispness, and it also has a different flavor. So it's almost like, to me, it's not eating a bean out of the yard. And I'm not quite sure, maybe it's not even technically a bean, it just looks like one. But regardless, it was super unique and has a super good flavor. If we grow it a lot better than the situation we had, these dragon tongue beans, they're up in a corner. They had 3 corn stalks in there. They still have 2 in there, and they have a cucumber growing in the center of them. And once they took off and started going, we were worried about them because everything else was producing beans already. But when these took off, it's just insane how much this is producing. So
yeah, and you need a lot of space for this plant too because they get very bushy and very wide. So we thought we were just gonna have all leaves, and then they finally started producing.
it's got a cool name, a cool color, excellent flavor, a highly productive plant. The dragon tongue beans, this is less of a bean brawl and more of a bean beatdown. This is by far me and Angel's favorite bean right now. So we haven't grown a ton of different kinds. My second would be Cherokee Wax. My third would be the Red Noodle.
Yeah.
And I think the yellow wax would actually fall into number 4 or 5. We've also grown Blue Lake Bush, which weren't too bad.
Yeah, those were good.
And another kind, I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't too good either.
And I'm hanging down everywhere. But these are our beans for 2021.
September 3rd of 2021, the UT Angel and Kiddo. 3 types of beans grown in our yard. Hope there's something useful in this video. We love you guys, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.